of that. Okay. And then we will see whether we can paint it or we will keep it for another session. But first, I want all of you to understand this, and then we will discuss about this. So actually, there is an author from the States. Her name is Betty Edwards. Perhaps you might have heard of her. And she wrote a book called Drawing on the Artist Within. And there is another book called Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain. So what she says is, we are unable to draw properly. That is, every drawing is, just simple things, just a few lines when we look at a drawing. But it is very difficult for especially adults to make a sketch properly. The reason is, what she says is, we create a lot of symbols. When our math teacher says that 1 tree plus 1 tree equal 2 trees, and he makes a lollipop and he calls it a tree, and we get that symbol, and that interferes with what we see. So that is why we are unable to make good sketches. That means we are not actually seeing what is there before our eyes. We are just seeing our preconceived notions or prejudices, like that. So that is the biggest obstacle in in making sketches. So we must be capable of overcoming that, and that is one of the most fundamentals of art. Whatever kind of art you are doing, whether it is acrylic painting or oil painting or sketching or graphite or whatever, even abstract. So this and she outlines quite a number of techniques in her book. How we can overcome this this preconceived actually this preconceived notions or prejudices. We can put it like that. That is a very big problem actually. And our Indian philosopher, Jiddu Krishnamurti, he asked this question whether it is possible for you to look at a tree without naming it. Because with the name comes all kind of this prejudices. We call it a mango tree, and so we are not seeing it just like that. We are not seeing it. We are seeing it through the filter of our past experiences, and that past we have created long back. So that is a problem. And the same thing has been expressed by that impressionist artist, I think it is Paul Cézanne. And he said that you might have seen an apple hundreds of times in your life. You might have eaten it. You may be knowing its its taste. But when you try to draw it, you must be capable of looking at it as if you are seeing it for the first time in your life. So there, you can see it for the first time in your life means you must be capable of, discarding all those, all those things you have learned beforehand about, what you're going to draw. And actually, I urge it. I have that book here, and I will just show you. Anyway, you can see this. Okay, so this is the book actually. So this book is Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain, and in this book she outlines a lot of techniques, and she goes much deeper actually. This is not a very easy read, but it's a one of the most beautiful books on art. So, and without getting that capability of sketching, to hold a pencil and to handle a pencil properly, it will be very difficult for you to make any progress in art. So whether you may be an abstract artist or watercolor artist or oil painter or whatever, but this sketching is maybe we can even say that a pencil is the single most important tool an artist should keep right from the beginning to the end. So before we start painting, we have to keep this in mind, and we have to do this regularly. So that is one thing. And once we are very comfortable with lines, then actually she discussed, you would have heard this negative space. When an object is there, the space around that object is called negative space. And you must be capable of seeing that negative space also, without which it will be, you won't be able to draw it. And there are some techniques in that books, how you can overcome this, this problem. So before we start painting, so we have to keep this in mind, and then we have to work towards that. So then there are greater possibilities for us to develop as a good artist. So that is the most important thing which I want to share with you. Then yeah, that is it. No, once we are very comfortable with the pencil, then we can do almost anything. It's like that. The medium is just a medium, and every medium has its we can say its peculiarities. That's all. So we cannot say that some medium is better than other, or nothing of that kind. Watercolor has its own specialities, and oil and acrylic. But watercolor is somewhat difficult. Difficult in the sense, for every other medium, you are working on a still surface. But with watercolor, you are dealing with the dynamic surface. It changes every time. A drop of water falls on the paper, and it changes the behavior of the paper now. And different paper, different behavior. And this is one of the biggest problems people facing when they're dealing with watercolors. So that we have to understand, because water is not a static object. It is it is like a living being. So the variables are much more in watercolors than in any other medium like acrylic. Acrylic is it's a dry technique. The surface is dry and the paint is dry. Oil also is like that. The surface is dry, paint is dry. But watercolor, the surface can be dry, it can be wet, and there are different levels of wetness, different levels of dryness, and the paint also can be very wet and it can be very dry also. And how you deal with these things, and this is one of the most that's why people find it somewhat difficult to deal with watercolors. And there is only one way to overcome this, that is patience, and you have to work quite a lot. There is no royal road to watercolors. Okay, so that we have to keep in mind. Then we must be very, very, very observant. With acrylic paint, you take some acrylic paint and you put it on any surface, it will behave somewhat similarly. But with watercolors, it changes. So we have to be in a kind of meditative mood. Actually, they used to say about the Chinese painters, when they want, Chinese painters use very, very, very thin paper. They call it rice paper or something. It's very thin. You cannot take it to the field. So the Chinese people used to go to the mountain, and they say that they absorb the whole environment within them, and they come back to the studio and meditate. So after a long time, the brush starts leading them. So that's what they call it, the way of the brush. So unless we develop that kind of a concentration, that also is absolutely essential for doing watercolors. No, that is true with almost anything, but still with watercolors you have to be very, very concentrated. Then what else? Yeah, these are the major things related to watercolors. And then of course we should have some ideas about the the materials, and then that also is important. To start with paper, watercolor paper is very special. Papers, there are different types of paper. Papers are used for many different things, but papers, they're somewhat special in the sense how they make this paper is very important for doing watercolors, because there is a thing called sizing. So when they make a watercolor paper, mostly watercolor papers are made of cotton. These professional watercolor papers are made of 100% cotton. Then in the pulp form, they use a kind of glue. They mix the pulp with some kind of glue, and after the paper is made, they coat it with a type of glue. So that is very very important. And Indian made handmade sheets, they're not very specific about this, but all higher brands like Fabriano or Archie's or the Sanders Waterford, and they specify it very very clearly. So they might have made a lot of research, and we don't know what kind of glues they are adding to that paper, but that is absolutely essential. So that is with the paper. And actually, one good idea is to go for a high-end paper, at least to some extent, so that you will know precisely when you put color on paper how best it could be. Then you can compare it with other papers, and then choose if there is anything cheaper or better, or those kind of things. And finally everything comes down to your personal preference. So then you can choose paper accordingly. Then paint is actually, every paint manufacturers make two grades of paint, sometimes three. There are students grade of paint, and there are artist grade of paint. And the difference actually, some say it's very there is a great difference. The difference is in the materials used to make the paint. So just to say an example, we all have a cobalt blue in our color box, and cobalt blue, actually the original pigment is cobalt aluminate, but cobalt aluminate is a bit expensive, so they use some other colors like tallow blue plus white and some crimson, and they mix these colors to imitate the color of the cobalt blue. That is why in camel, if you buy camel colors, you will have cobalt blue hue. So there are different grades of paint and different substances used, and how these substances behaves on paper, and that also is important. So Winsor & Newton Coatman is Winsor & Newton's student paint. Winsor & Newton Professional is Winsor & Newton's professional grade paint. And the prices is price also is is very different. So you need to think of that. But even though camel, it cannot be said very professional, we can use it. They're very good paint, and we can use it for high professional work. There is absolutely no doubt in it. But if you want original pigments, the exact pigments, then we will have to look for somewhere else. Then the brushes, actually there are there are different types of brushes for different purposes. And watercolors, the paper is normally very fragile, so most people prefer very soft brushes for watercolors. So that is why, so a brush like this is a squirrel hair mauve brush. Is very soft. Another thing is it will hold a lot of water. So these two are the major characteristics of a good watercolor brush. But it is not really necessary to stick to that. You can use almost anything to paint with watercolors. For instance, I use this brush. This is from a French company called Lutil Paraffite, and Actually, this brush is made to paint on the wall. Actually, they make a lot of masonry things, and the bristles are very hard. Actually, it's very hard. But we can use this. This won't hold a lot of water. So if you want to make this dry brush techniques and all, then you can use these brushes. And I have some brushes from my acrylic. So this is a hog hair brush, and sometimes you can use this also. So what I mean to say that as far as materials are concerned, there are no special rules, no such rules or anything like that. But you have to find your tools. Actually, in every industry, tooling is that is very important, right? So the same thing with artists also. So you have to make your own tools. I will show you. So this is a tool I made. This is I use this to actually I made this for acrylic painting. Okay, this is just aluminum, that spoon. I cut it into this shape. So for a particular project, I wanted to, scrap paint, and so it is like that. So I use this for watercolors also. For some, some purposes, I use this in watercolors also. So these are the tools normally, used in painting. That's up to you. And of course, we have this beautiful brushes made in China. This is the Chinese traditional calligraphy brush. So this, these brushes are very beautiful because this contains two types of hair. The outer white hair is of goat hair. The inner hair is of, there is an animal called weasel in China. They use this weasel hair for a lot of brushes. So this brush will hold a lot of water, and it is not very soft also. This is somewhat, how to say, springy, like that. And this is a purely weasel hair brush. So this brush, even though it looks now like this, it will come to a very fine point if it is wet. So you can almost finish a full painting with this single brush. So these are the thing. And there is another type of brush called Hake. So this is a Hake brush, and this is used for washing larger areas. And Hake brushes are made of goat hair. This is goat hair. This is very soft actually. So you can use this for washing larger areas. So these are the tools we normally use for watercolor painting. So now you have something to share with me, or
yeah, if anyone has any questions, otherwise I think Arun, we should move forward ahead in your demo. Otherwise, do you guys have any questions? Please go ahead, you can ask. Otherwise, I think we will move forward for now, because I think we are in a good flow, and let us not break it. It's good. So Arun, we are waiting on you. We can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I have made that painting which Prerna has shared, no? So actually the
so just for just to inform everyone, there is this WhatsApp group we have, and in that group I shared the image that we are planning to paint. There's this landscape drawing, landscape picture that Arun took in his backyard. I can do one thing for now. I mean, I have actually sent it on chat also just now, so you guys can download it from the chat as well for yourself. Yeah, it's just there. So download it. This is what we are basically planning to paint today. Do you guys have it? Mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So yes, I think Arun, we can start. Do you have that painting with you? Maybe you can show that one you did from that picture.
Yeah. Okay, but it's just a.
We are good as such. We can see your canvas well.
Canvas portion is frozen, I believe.
Yeah, actually, just a moment.
Oh, is it the DSLR?
Yeah, that is from my DSLR. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, the thing is, the most important thing is, when we are working from a reference image, we are using it only as a reference. We make a lot of changes. We, sometimes we make the changes minimal. Sometimes we make a lot of changes, but every change we make, it will affect the the outcome of the painting. For instance, for those who have seen that painting, actually I have put that that girl in a much bigger size. Okay, actually, then what we are losing something actually. So when we make that girl in a bigger size, we are giving a lot of prominence to that girl, but we are reducing the vastness of that landscape. Because when that girl is very small, all those bamboo trees are very high. So we will feel it. We will feel it. We sense it at once. The moment we see it, whether we are able to say it aloud or not, we sense it. That such a vast area. But the moment I made that that girl in a bigger size, that vastness is compromised actually. So this is very important. What you want to convey or what you want to express, when you use a reference image for your painting, and that is important, and that's going to affect the outcome. So every choice you make, it can have some effect on the outcome. So that is it, and we can change it the way we want. We can change the colors. That bamboo, when it is young, it was very green, but now it is not that green. But you can make it again green, no? So nobody is going to ask you anything about that. So what kind of feeling you want to bring into that painting, and that is very very important. And you can change the colors, and you can add more objects, or you can delete. Or actually, if you see that image very closely, there are a whole lot of details in that image. If you see it in full resolution, you can see a lot of things. So you can decide to keep it, or you can discard it, or you can crop it in a special way as you want, and you can do all kind of things. And normally, when I paint, I prefer to work with very muted colors. I don't like this, it's very, very bright, flashy kind of colors. I normally don't use. So when I use, it'll be somewhat muted, but you can, you can make it very, very vivid and bright, and you can do all these kind of things. And another thing is, I've told you in the beginning, sketching is totally different, and we don't make a sketch for watercolor painting or for any kind of painting. We simply take a pencil to plan the painting. That is it. So we are just planning. That is all. We don't make a sketch. Sketch is, as I've told you, it has a much different, much deeper significance. So we are not going to make a sketch. We are just planning how we are going to go about the painting. So I will just show you. So when we actually, let me see. Okay. So you have, okay. So can you see those that image? In that case, actually.
Don't bother. I think we all have the image with us.
Oh, okay, fine. That's great.
So we have it on our systems, and also some people
Yeah,
might have printed
okay,
it. So
yeah.
don't bother about it.
Yeah, actually, when we plan an image for painting, first we identify the big shapes. Okay, so we divide this entire image into 3 or 4 larger shapes. Okay, and then within that, within each larger shape, what are the details? So we come down the larger shapes, then the intermediate shapes, and then we can go for the final, the finest details. And all these things must be connected in some way or the other. So that is very important. So if you really draw an isolated object in a painting, it may not look nice. So in watercolor, so that is why most people actually, most watercolors, they say that the colors should, they should blend together, and that is why they try this wet on wet technique. The colors don't separate themselves from others. They all they all merge together. And of course, when it comes to the final the final details, then we use this this dry paint, sometimes just to give the depth to that painting. So so that is it. So I'm just okay. So so what I'm doing is I'm just dividing this into how many? 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 big shapes. Okay, so that is the bamboos on the left side. It comes like this. Okay, then so I'm doing this very rough. So this is the first shape. So that group of bamboos on the left side of your screen, or that painting, and of course, some bamboos come here like this. Okay, then there is a small, a small tree in the middle, and that could be our other big shape. Okay, so And here the river is there. Okay, we'll just mark it. And here the other the third and here and actually there are a lot of people are there, a lot of activities are going on there. So I'm ignoring all those things. You know, on the left side of the painting, there are a lot of people, washing clothes and taking bath, and there are some children there. So I'm ignoring all those things, and there are just rocks, and I totally disregard the size and shapes of the rock. I just want to tell you that there are some rocks there. That is it. So actually, this is. I think you can see this, no? This can you see the pencil lines?
Somewhat we can see it.
Pardon?
Yeah, we can see that. Earlier you were showing it's seen upside down. So earlier you were trying.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You're seeing it. Okay, then I will. So now you're seeing it in the right way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit faint because the pencil is, it's very faint. The light
this
is
is very thin. Yeah. Okay. So
Even I cannot make out anything.
I will do that. I will make it dark. Actually, there is there are just only just some indications. See, like this. Okay, so this is how I plan this this painting. So whatever is necessary for me to see, that is here. Then while painting, we improve it. We sometimes the whole thing will go wrong. Mostly that is what happens. So all these lines, they will be there, and the paint will be somewhere else. So this is just the basic thing, how you see a picture. That is it. And now for this, actually, we can do this in many ways. So there is a problem with this, this paper also, because when you apply a whole lot of water on a watercolor paper, the paper will buckle. So that is quite normal because the paper expands. So many people used to stretch the paper before they paint. So I also do that. I also stretch. I made a special board for that, for stretching paper. But here I'm not doing that, and you can see the paper will buckle.
Is
And
there a process to stretch the paper, or do you just use an equipment or tool?
no, actually, I made, because of the I made a frame. I can show you that. Yeah, actually, this is the painting I made. So you might have seen this. Can you see this? Okay.
Yes.
So this board, this is made of metal. So I designed this, and I made it actually. So this is actually 300 GSM, 300 GSM paper, 300 GSM handmade paper. And what I'm going to paint on now is 440 GSM paper, and this won't buckle that much. But here, this paper, this 300 GSM paper will buckle. So I made this frame in 2 or 3 different sizes. So I can, I can work very comfortably because the paper won't buckle, and I can make a straight line straight. So when the paper buckles, it will be a big problem. You cannot make a straight line. It will be somewhat difficult. So I made this setup. But actually, the traditional, that means the most common way of stretching paper is by using the gum tapes. So there are some water activated tapes. So you first wet the paper for maybe 10 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on the paper. Either you soak it in water, or you just apply water thoroughly on both sides. Then when the paper expands to its maximum, you put the tape on the 4 sides of the paper. Then when the paper dries, it will shrink somewhat, and then the paper will be very tight. And when you apply water on that, it won't buckle. But the problem is that tape is, especially in the place where I live, it is very difficult to get things. So I chose to make this board. So anyway, I can use this lifelong. This is made of metal, so it's very strong. So so that is what I did. So here actually, so I'm going to wet this now.
Arun, can you show this board on your canvas? Like what's?
Pardon?
Can you show this board on your canvas once, like it fully
Yeah,
we can
sure.
see?
I will.
Put it
Yeah.
in on your canvas.
Yeah, I'll show you a smaller one.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see this, no?
Okay, so yes, we can see. So you've created a frame and you just insert the edges of the paper in that.
Yeah, so this is the, so this is actually this locally made, mostly by hand. Not very power tools are used, but this works perfectly well. But I have improved the design, so next time I make I'll make a couple more. Then the design will change because it has some some problems. So I have already rectified it. Then I will go for that. So that is it. So first I will wet the paper. Yeah, actually this is one thing. When you make sketches, it's better to use some HB pencil or something like that. So this is 6B pencil. So when you make when you wash it, the graphite will flow with the water. Now, when you use colors, there are as I've told you, the pigments behave in different ways. For instance, phthalo blue, that is a highly staining color. So if you once you apply phthalo blue on paper, you will not be able to lift it greatly. So and crimson alizarin is basically a dye. So if you are putting much of alizarin on the paper, so that will stain the paper, and you will not be able to get paper white by lifting paint. So these kind of things you have to be you have to think when you apply. So here actually for that painting you can use blue, you can use ultramarine or cobalt blue, but the problem is ultramarine and cobalt blue both are granulating colors. So when you apply ultramarine here on the sky, then it will show that grains. So I chose cerulean blue, that is very smooth. The reason, one reason is the river, it has to be darker than the sky to get a normal look. So if you are using too much of blue on the sky, then the river has to be even more darker. So here you can see in this photo, the sky is washed out. There is no blue color there. So I'll be using some very light blue for the sky. And for this, actually, if you look at the bamboo, you will see that that is actually grayish yellow. So we can think of giving a maybe a roseana undertone. So
Arun, have you mixed white with cerulean blue?
no.
Just plain cerulean blue.
No, this that is cerulean blue. There is no white. Actually, people have this this very this consciousness of using white and black in watercolors. Actually, some people say that they don't want to use white or black like that. But the fact is, if you are using student grade watercolor paint, actually we are using white in many of their paint. Say for instance, if you are using cobalt blue hue from Camel or Winston & Newton Cotman, then definitely you are using white, because that cobalt blue hue is emitted actually using some other pigments, and white is one of them. And if you're using Pines gray actually it essentially contains black. Pines gray has black in it, then a neutral tint. So all these colors have black, and people use white and black so frequently. So that is it. But here actually the white is not used. So when you use white, actually it becomes somewhat opaque. You can see that.
So we don't want it to be opaque.
Hmm?
We don't want it to be opaque. That's not what we are going for.
Actually, so that is the beauty of watercolor paint. Actually, watercolors, they're very, very transparent. The light passes through the paint and hits the paper and reflects from the paper. So you get that, a kind of luminescence when you look at watercolor painting. So, that is a highly desirable thing, but we cannot be very transparent in all the areas of painting, because if you look at in your color box, you'll find a lot of colors which are opaque only, like yellow ochre is opaque, and cobalt blue is whether you use pure pigment or cobalt blue hue, both are semi-transparent, and there are some extremely transparent pigments also. So in some areas of the paintings it has to be opaque, otherwise you won't have that that depth.
Arun, is it possible to move your canvas slightly more towards the
Oh, yeah.
center or left? Yeah. Also more left. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so actually, I need to flip this thing, but I am a bit afraid of doing that. Okay.
I think you're
So-
fine. Don't
Yeah.
don't worry about it for this
Yeah. So
time.
maybe next time we will do it.
I mean, I personally don't feel a problem with this also orientation. I don't know about others, but it's fine.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Are you using saprin now?
No, there is a cerulean blue and rose sienna.
What colors are we using right now?
Actually, this is a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. So when you mix ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, you will get a very deep neutral gray, and it could be neutral or warm if you're using a little bit more burnt sienna, or it can be even cool if you're using more ultramarine. And it will have a granulating effect also, because even burnt sienna also granulates slightly, but ultramarine granulates much. So you will have a very beautiful texture if you really want it.
अरे पण ते
Arun, your camera is switched off.
Hmm?
Your camera has switched off.
Okay.
Yeah, can you bear with me?
Yeah, please.
5 minutes?
Yeah, please. I think everyone is also
Hello?
busy catching up and working on their artworks.
Hello?
Hello. Yes, Arun, please.
Oh, yeah, I
yeah.
just need to change the battery. I think it
Okay,
is
please.
almost, yeah, it's almost 1 hour, no? No?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Just a
Sure.
moment.
Yeah.
Aditya? Hello? Hello? Aditya? இல்ல இல்ல it is in focus, no?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, this battery, I can use it only maximum of 1 hour.
Okay.
Afterwards, to change the battery.
Okay, I see.
Actually, there is no other way to give power directly. Actually, there are some devices, but okay, maybe in the future. So we will
No, it's
organize all
fine.
those things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
right. I think also that there is so much information been told by you that everyone is busy working.
Okay.
I think, Arun, it'll also be a good idea that it's been an hour. I think we should do a check with everyone. Oh, actually, it's been more than almost end of the session. We
Yeah.
should see everyone's work.
Yeah,
And if you can give them some feedback and how they can work further
why
from
not?
there,
Yes.
that'll also
yes.
be a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can start with anybody who wants to show and get a quick feedback from Arun. You can show it on your camera, basically, your work.
I'll go ahead.
Yes,
I'll
please.
just-
1 second. I'll just add you in the spotlight so we can see. Yes, please. Go ahead now.
Yeah. So this is the first time me trying watercolors. Please just bear with this.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice. 1 second. Arun, you can see it, right? Yeah, I think Arun is there. I don't know. You can see it or not. But I think you are really following Arun, right? All the steps that, yeah. Can you show it
Yeah,
one more time?
as much as I could. So
Hmm.
I saw that Arun was doing work here and trying to sort of build this area. I
Hmm.
think it gets lighter up here. From here, it gets lighter. I've done this blue. I don't know if this blue is visible. I couldn't see what he did with the blue, like
Yeah, I
in
think he's
the
on the sky, right? On the sky, he's kept it very light.
yeah. It's just the sky. The sky is really light. It's light blue.
Yeah.
And then there are these offshoots here. There's like just some bamboos. And here was a little darker when he started off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
I'm actually the picture that I was following what he was doing and seeing the picture
Yes.
that's been sent. And I was sort of dabbling between the two. And then I saw that he was using, he was just, you know, not drawing or paint. He was not going through with a shape at all. It was just
Very freehand.
bits and very
Yeah.
freehand.
Yeah,
Bits and
freehand
bob
or
here and there.
exactly. Yeah, because he's also, yes, keeping it very freehand and light and not rigid. I think it's also one
Yeah.
important idea that, you don't try to complete one section, you don't focus on one section of an image or a painting, but you are actually working throughout constantly.
Right.
That's how I think the purpose of this session was also to give an introduction to watercolor as a medium and to start playing with the colors, with the watercolor pigment and with that paper. So I think that purpose is well taken care. Yeah, Arun is there. Arun,
Can
you
you hear
saw
me?
her work? Yes,
Can
we
you
can
hear me?
hear you.
Can you hear me?
Arun, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I saw that actually
Shraddha's.
when you do watercolors, it is better to avoid hard edges. If there are hard edges in your painting, then
Are you
that
talking
sharp,
about this
yes,
one?
Yes, that sharp lines,
This
no?
one. Yeah.
Sharp lines, no? So
Yeah.
say that there are many ways to subdue that. That is, you have one color, and if you place another color behind it with almost the less contrast, then that lines won't be visible that much. Okay. So
A lighter color with opacity?
No, there should not. That means when you place two colors together, if there is a lot of contrast, then you will know that that separation has a very, very straight lines, very sharp lines. Okay. So actually, if those sharp lines are, if you could subdue it to some extent, this will look, that's very, how to say, very watercolorish. Okay, you have almost got that technique, but when you use colors, you try to avoid that harsh edges coming. That is the only thing. Otherwise, your selection of colors and all those things are really good. It's very good. Once you finish this, it will look great actually. So only that.
Any advice on how to go ahead while finishing this?
Yeah, only advice I can give you is practice and practice. When you do, you know, 10 paintings, then it will you will get it automatically. And another thing what you have to try consciously is sketching. So pencil is the base. So you have to make a lot of sketching.
So even for watercolors, one must master sketching.
Absolutely. Whether you are a watercolor painter or acrylic or oil, whatever, you must be very comfortable using a pencil. So that is actually we can say that is not necessary, because to make to dab some paint on the paper, why do we need it? But actually sketching is seeing. Actually you see it, you see and analyze the scene, you assimilate it, then you can then only you can express, and pencil is the best tool for that. That's why.
Thank you so much, Arun.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
We have more
Rina,
people.
can
I
I
think.
show mine?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I'm just going to change the spotlight. Where who wants to show? Manisha, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Manisha. Just let me add you to the spotlight.
I'm doing it
Yes.
for the first time, so
Yes.
it's actually horrible.
Actually, it's see the way you're getting it. That is the color. That looks clearly, as if painted with watercolors. That medium, that property of that medium is coming. The only problem is, I said in the beginning, the water will always be darker than the sky. So when you put a dark blue sky, then the water has to be even more darker. That will affect the whole thing, no?
I should have diluted it
Somewhat. Yes. No, actually, this also is good now, because you can make the water darker. That's not a problem. Okay, but actually, when we are, if you really want to be a bit more, faithful to the reference, then in that case, it is better to dilute that blue a little bit. That is it. You can make sky darker. There is absolutely no problem with that. But then the water has, that is how it looks. Water only reflects. So water will be darker.
I think it's about the way you want to make the composition.
Actually, that the way you have applied paint on paper, that is how you normally do with the watercolors. So if you're keeping it and if you're doing it more, then definitely you can master it very easily.
I have one question.
Yeah.
I was not able to get the small patches like you did in your tree, and mine is a whole blob.
Actually, that's there are different types of paper. No, one is a very very smooth paper that is normally hot pressed, and there is a somewhat fine grain paper, and this is actually very rough paper. So when you use the dry brush, all those the paper is there will be a lot of hills and valleys in the paper. So the brush will touch only the hills. So you will find a lot of spots. So this is very good for this dry brush technique. That is the property of the paper actually. And you can get the same thing with that paper, but with much difficulty. But if you're using a dry brush, that means you don't take too much of water in your brush, and then you just apply it. Then you will have that grains.
So Arun, are you using cold pressed paper?
No, this is just rough now.
Oh, it's not okay.
Yeah,
so generally, what do you suggest? Cold pressed or hot pressed?
Hot press normally, most watercolors won't prefer hot press. The reason is, if someone wants to make some extremely detailed works, like realistic works, they will go for hot press paper. But most people like this cold press paper only. But I prefer rough, because it can create much greater textures and all.
Sure.
So cold press and rough you can use.
Sure. I think we have more people. I guess Suresh wants to also.
Yeah, I want to show mine.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I just add you.
Yeah, it's very.
You have to bring it little up on. Yeah.
Can you see that now?
Yes. Yes. No, actually, see.
Just a second. I think there is some.
yes. Now I can see that.
I think
yes.
it's your front light.
Yes, that's good.
Mhm.
See, that is how we apply paint. So the first step is done. Okay.
Okay.
First
Okay.
step is done. So this is how we apply paint, especially watercolor. Now we want to make it run the way we want. Okay. It will
Okay.
take some time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And you know.
Yeah, this is probably I'm
Oh, this
happy
is.
that I was able to break the fear of applying the watercolor. Otherwise, I was.
That's it. Actually, I forgot to tell about that. I said that is
I'm
very
very
important. Yes.
yeah, very afraid
Yes.
of touching
Yes,
it. You know,
that is it. That is it. That is it. Yes, that fear of actually we have to overcome that, and we can do that only by practicing now. And another
Yeah.
thing is after finishing this painting, we have to make a small cutout like a mound. Okay, we can cut out a mound, and we have to place this painting inside that, and then we should look at that. Then we
Okay.
will okay. Then we will see that painting a bit more beautiful.
Okay.
So it won't look very nice, when we see a work like this. So when we frame it, it's not necessary to be a frame. I will just show you something.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I made this kind of frame. Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
You can see this. No, this actually. See here, I can remove this. See, I can insert a painting. See, it's just a paper, and I can put it here inside this, and I can just close this. So this will look like it is framed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So whenever you actually, we have to do this in the beginning. Actually, I made this to show you. We have to do this in the beginning, because once we are, we do a lot of things, and then we will know. It will look good when it is framed. But in the beginning, we always have this problem. So we make something, and we will never like it. We will never like our paintings. But the moment you make a frame, just a cardboard mount, and you just keep your painting behind it, and just paste it with masking tape. That will do.
Okay.
Okay, and then there will be great difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was, as I mentioned, for me also, it's the very first time. I mean, I have the colors set, but I never played around with that. And the names of the colors and everything is sort of new to me. And, I was getting confused when you make the mix. So,
Yes. Actually, the names, we can have another session on that. Names, the color names are related to the pigments. For instance, you have ultramarine. And the meaning of the word ultramarine is beyond the sea. That means the original pigment of ultramarine is lapis lazuli. That is a semi-precious stone, and the Europeans got it first from Afghanistan. Okay, so that is why they called it ultramarine, because that is they got it beyond the sea. So that is the name, and it has nothing to do with blue.
Okay.
Okay, that word has nothing to do with blue. So we are identifying, artists are identifying these colors with their pigments. And what is raw sienna? Raw sienna is just, just clay, mud. And sienna is a place in Italy. So they got that yellow colored soil from Italy in a place called Siena. That is why they call it raw sienna. That is not, it has nothing to do with the name of that color. It is that pigment.
Raw sienna.
Okay. Yeah, raw sienna. And you burn it. Okay, you heat it with a high temperature, and you get burnt sienna. That's it. So, so that is how the name of the colors come. Cobalt blue is cobalt aluminate, and then it's like that. But of course, crimson is crimson. There are some colors like that, but some other colors are just sing white.
Names.
Just the names of the pigments.
So I think Arun, I know there is so much to learn from you, and we'll definitely have so many sessions in the future. We would take few more people because I know it's
Yeah,
time,
sure,
and a lot
sure,
of people,
sure.
actually, there are quite a few people joining from Singapore also, and it's quite late for them.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we'll just take another 8 to 8 minutes, and
Oh, sure, why
if
not?
there are few
Yeah.
people, a couple of people who still want to show, I think there's Charlene. Do you want to show and discuss something with Arun? Then we can. Yes, Charlene. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I just had a lot of windows open.
No
Sure.
problem.
Here's mine.
Okay. Arun,
Is
can
it
you see this? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Charlene. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Arun is there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Yes,
Yes.
yes. That's good. But I want to say it. Yes. Another thing is when you use colors, you have to mix it. So you try your best not to use colors straight from your color box. Okay. So, because
I mix a little bit.
no, not always, but as much instead of see, actually I can show you my palette here. So this is my main palette here, and you won't find the green here in this. Okay, so green I always mix from yellows. So I have only yellows. This is rose sienna. It's a brown, yellows, reds, and blues. Then I have some very very few colors to make it dark or light. So that green, actually, if you could change that actually, see, there is absolutely nothing wrong in using colors straight from the tube, but if you could mix and get that green, that will look really, because most of the colors we get in the color box, it will be very difficult to see in nature, especially greens. If you have a color called viridian in your color box, you will never see viridian anywhere, when you look around. So viridian we used to mix, to get certain shades. That is it. So try to mix green from blues and greens. But the way you have applied the colors, that is that is how we do it. And naturally, it will take some time, no. But this is the way to move forward.
Okay.
And another one more thing I want to tell you is, I have told.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Now I said now you have to mix colors, but in watercolor painting, no, any painting, values are far more important than colors. So you can you can be off with the colors. Instead of crimson, you can use vermilion. Okay, instead of brown, you can use warmer brown or cooler brown. That won't make that much difference. But if you don't get values right, then that painting won't look nice. So you have to be very careful about that also. That means values means one color, when it goes away from you, that becomes paler and paler, no? Okay, so the color, yeah.
I'm going too dark, you mean?
Pardon?
I should start lighter. Is that what you mean?
I didn't get
less value.
Value. Value means the colors are brighter when it is very close to you. When it goes away from you, it becomes okay. So now this painting looks flat because only same value there. So only when you apply more, different values, no, darker and lighter, then that painting will, that will come to life. Okay, let us say so. That is it. So I know that is not finished. No, that is not finished. Just finish it. No, yeah, finish it. Yeah.
So basically using multiple values within the same canvas.
Of course, no, of course. That is how we see. We see a lot of, a whole lot of values actually, but normally we tend to ignore it. That is it. But when we draw it, then we have to take that into account.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do we have any? I know Sheetal is there. We can have Sheetal, and there is Gecko. Gecko, do you also want to go ahead? You have to unmute, and then Sheetal will take you as soon. Like, no, let me just change the. Gecko, you will have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
I didn't really follow him, but this is what.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes. 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 Actually, it's, see, there is no point in following this. What you can learn from here is just the way, way to apply color. That is it. And you can say that, okay, oh, I see. You can, apply color this way also. Only those kind of things. Otherwise, just technical things. But this, the bottom side is, they're quite good. All those rocks are rocks. That is very clearly visible, and only that bamboo thing. Actually, bamboo, you have to see bamboo. I think I have feeling like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, that is the only thing. But that thing is very very good. That rocks, they came out quite good. It's beautiful. But we can say anything, solid about painting only when it is finished. No, okay, I finished it. Then we can, there will be more.
I'd like to see how you do the bamboo leaves from the picture. I'm finding that quite hard. Like if I put it in, it looks so wrong. But then if I blend it, it's not very clear. It just looks like sticks or feathers or something, or grass, really big grass. So
and it looks, I guess, more like a blob or like a big shape, whereas you have those little details. Those details are not visible at all.
So here actually you have to be a bit careful about the paper you are using. So if you use a normal paper, then we cannot make that kind of differences, or we have to be very, 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 very careful in doing so. So we need to pay a little more attention to the paper we are using.
So I think we'll take two more last questions, one from Sheetal and then from Abhinav. So Sheetal, please go ahead.
Thanks, Arun. I don't draw, I don't paint. So for me, this was very enlightening. What I've done is not worth showing, so I thought I'll just ask my question. What happened is I drew I painted the very light blue sky, like you said, and then I drew the bamboo with a green. I mixed up something that brought a nice green that I liked. So, but then the sky, a very basic doubt, the sky and the green, they blended and the sky became darker. And then I had to make it all. So what I'm trying to ask is, one, what is the purpose of wetting the paper in the beginning in the first place? Because later it became dry. So I don't understand why we wet the paper. And two, what happens when they mix up, or how do you take care of mixing up of colors?
Yeah, actually, it is not necessary to wet the paper. Okay, because there you can use that blue which you are going to apply for the sky. You can take it down. That is as good as wetting the paper. Okay, and you can wet the paper, then two colors will blend seamlessly. That's why we are wetting the paper. So what we're doing is you first apply the blue sky, then you give an undertone of that basic color. Here in that bamboo, I have mentioned that. No, we have given that rose sienna undertone. And then when it is dry to some extent, then we will start drawing the details. Then it won't blend. So first the rose sienna undertone and that blue, they will actually blend. And I want that to blend. Okay, so that is it. How wet is the paper and how dry it is, how dry the pen, and these things, and we can get it only when we do it for some time. Then definitely we will get it. Yeah. So when the paper is very wet, if you're applying some color on it, naturally they will blend together. So that we have to take care of.
So this is what happened. Like this is how this blue. Then I had to paint it all blue.
That looks like a modern, Yeah, that looks good. That looks good actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank
The,
you.
the thing is, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that, reference image, but that is not the purpose. No,
Yeah.
that is not the purpose. We can make a work of art, and we use that to inspire us. That is it.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Very nice,
Yeah, that's
enlightening. Yeah.
Okay, we have Abhinav. Abhinav, please go ahead.
Hi, Arun.
Hi.
Thank you so much for the information. I'm really sorry, not on system as of now, so nothing to say, but I had a query if you could help out. Watercolor generally tends to soften and become dull after it has dried up. So do you suggest some spray or some after painting treatment so that we can keep the glossiness of it?
After actually, yeah, you should know why it becomes dull. There are a number of reasons for that. So actually, the colors cannot go dull because I have told raw sienna, the pigment is earth, soil, and whatever you do, it won't lose its color. There is absolutely no chance of that. And there may be some colors like carmine, it may lose its brilliance after some time. But the technology has gone to that extent that we can be very sure that when the company says that the color is permanent, it is permanent. Or we can and at least for 50 or 75, 100 years, the color is not going to fade. But the color will fade if the paper is not good, because the color will go inside the fibers of the paper, and that's what happens actually. Okay, so you need a good quality paper with the proper sizing, then the color won't fade. And there are some, if you're buying some student quality, this Camel's student quality colors are not really good. We cannot use it. Even children cannot use it. But Camel gives us wonderful colors with very cheap price, and that everybody can use it. And Camel colors, they won't fade actually. So the color fading problem, it comes only with the paper. Otherwise, I don't think so. I don't think so, because I have never observed such a thing. And if you are using inferior quality paper, then it can happen. Or it has to be very inferior paint. And actually, you can you can actually make paper better if you have that, but you have to do a lot of experiments. And I will, so actually paper could be coated with starch. In those days, people are using starch as a glue. Okay, but now nobody is using starch, but they use gelatin. Gelatin is, it is freely available anywhere. So you can experiment with that. Then sometimes it will go wrong, and sometimes it will be. And when you do it for some time, then you will know how to apply. But it will take some time. You have to experiment. And if you have that mind, then definitely it will work for you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Arun, for
thank
your
you very
time.
much. And, thank you all.
No, not at all. I think this was such a
Thank you,
wonderful.
Arun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arun. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Arun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a wonderful and a very informative workshop. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do more workshops in future, and we had great time.
Yeah,
So
okay,
thank
sure,
you,
yes.
and we all stay in touch.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Yeah, sure.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Arun. Thanks, Prerna. Bye.
Sure.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.